mwanamke akikuchukia anakuweka hapa rohoni, na akikupenda pia anakuweka ndani kabisa. Unaona, utampa mwanamke kila kitu, utamfanyia kila kitu, hata ukamjengea magorofa, umpe nini, lakini mwisho wa siku mwanamke atafika mahali atakwambia, you know what, mimi sijawahi kupenda na sitakupenda, nampenda mtu fulani.
I have done everything possible to just get this guy to get the relationship working.
Am I the person supposed to be looking for you?
Mm-hmm.
You need to talk, you know.
Unampigia simu leo, hashiki simu, kesho hashiki simu, ama labda akishika mnaongea kidogo anakuambia, ngoja nifanye nini, ni receive simu ya mtu mwingine. Unaona,
kama we've agreed on the projects I have and I have my own money, I have no problem yeye kuchip in whatever he has kama anataka, si ati I'm forcing him to do that.
Another thing that I'm trying to figure it out is the ego thing, where men and ego, if you ruin a man's ego, then you are not in that relationship. That's something I'm also learning. You have to protect a man's ego.
Nipende nilivyo, baby, nipende mimi nilivyo. Zawadi ya fanaka hiyo kutoka kwa Mola, mafanikio toka kwa Mola. Baby, 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 ninachoomba.
This is Likuyani Eli, and of course, the program tonight is not Art in Heart. We are not in late night date, but we are discussing matters that are very interesting. You know, once you decide to pursue your dreams as an individual, kuna ile nafasi inafika unasema ninataka kwenda majuu. I know majuu has been a story for many, especially those who are trying to achieve their goals in life. And most of this time, we have this illusion that it's a land of milk and honey. Sasa, leo tunataka tuongee na watu kidogo, sio wote, ambao wameenda majuu. Na pia wewe kama umeenda majuu, what has been your experience? And what do you want to share tonight? That's why tonight, we are discussing issues to deal with life beyond borders, you know, against the odds. And in studio, I have Harun Mushiri all the way in the USA. Good evening, Harun.
Yes, good evening, Ellie.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Is it an evening there, or is it something between evening and afternoon?
It's afternoon, almost headed to evening. It's
Great.
2. Yeah.
No, umeshikilia Mkenya daima on your wrist. You are the only patriotic Kenyan I've met in a few months.
I like so
Okay, now wale ambao wajui Harun will be telling you more stories about himself. And we have a mix on the deck. We have Hesbon. Good evening, Hesbon.
Good evening, Ellie.
How are you?
The going?
The going is fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm great.
Great to have you. And you know the topic of the night, kitu tunaongelea hapa. I don't know if there's your monitor somewhere that is giving us feedback. Unaweza mute? Ninasikia monitor yako inanipea feedback on the line. Kama unaweza mute. No, Harun, you're okay.
I've tried, but maybe it's the connection. Let me get rid of it.
Yeah. Great.
What about that?
Now I should be able to hear you well. Great. Well, sijui kuna nini, but we'll figure out. Kuna a lot of echo coming back, but it's okay. What you can do is this. Let's get this thing started. So, Harun, wewe umekuwa majuu for some time now. And story huwa inasemwa ni kwamba majuu or abroad is the land of milk and honey. First things first, wewe ulifikaje majuu na uko majuu gani? Unaweza unmute microphone yako please. Haron is getting that figured out. Najua hizi vitu sometimes ina challenge, so tumpe nafasi kidogo aweze kuadjust na hiyo. Great, we have you now Haron. Great. So
Yeah.
salimia watu kwanza, alafu uambie wewe uko majuu gani na ulifikaje majuu?
Yeah, thanks for your time, Ellie and Hesbon.
Yeah.
It's nice to have this conversation because zina trigger mind za watu wengi sana. So living abroad is very good, overseas is very good kwa watu wengi sana wanapenda kukuja huku, but it all depends. So mimi nakuanga the US like 4 years ago. I came here very green. I didn't know nobody, I didn't know nothing, so and I started all over scratch too. Mtu anakwambia you do as he says because maybe he was here before you until you work your way up. So mi nakuanga niko based in Washington, Seattle. That's where my base is, my everything is there, but mostly I don't go back there. Nakuanga on the road, like on the road every now and then, just driving trucks.
Yeah.
From one state to another one.
Oh, okay. You are constantly on the road. So, and for those who are joining us, we actually want to discuss about life abroad. And for those Kenyans or any other members of the international community that have managed to go outside their countries, their space of comfort, we want to just try and understand what happens beyond your borders. Let me bring in Hesbon. Hesbon, wewe hata sijui nikuite cross border, nikuite nini, mi sijui nikuite nini because you are always moving here and there. Tell us, Hesbon, what has been your experience traveling around the world, and what was your first time to ever leave Kenya?
Okay, my first time to ever leave Kenya, that was around 2009. Yeah, 2009. And coming from a military background, I went straight into another military, so it came up with a very interesting story. So ukiangalia 2009 ndio wakati tulikuwa tunaanza kukua na Facebook was becoming popular, so we could be able to post photos. So watu wanaona una post photo na uniform ya nchi nyingine, wanasema hey boss, how did you get there, how did you get? So it became so much interesting to most people. Na unapata watu wakakuwa pale, they want to know the information. The information was open there, the information was for the public to know, but ni vile lazima mtu akudirect in the right position ndio uweze kujua. So 2009 I served in a foreign country, that's the French military, for 5 years, and then I started moving around countries. Another thing, being in the French military, it also gave me an opportunity to travel all the French overseas territory. Unapata tumetembea hizo nchi zote because that was part of the job. So unatembea, but the bottom line is unapata uko majuu. People see you like uko majuu na from the word go umeingia job, so wako na zile expectations kule nyumbani, but they don't know at what point unaanzia and at what point unaenda.
Guess what, Hesbon? You're not the only military background man on board, because Haron here apparently was in the military for a decade. Haron, what was your story and how did you get yourself in the US?
First of all, as we took a story, military, when I was young, nilipenda sana kujoin military. Nikiwa home Kenya, that is in Kenya. So I finished Form 4 and then did some hustling here and there. Then later, that is back 2007, I joined the military. Nikaenda training na I was
we are losing you, Haron. I don't know what is happening. If you can hear us. We are losing you, Harun.
Yeah, kuna watu wanapigia simu hapa sasa.
Wamekuona
Some
kwa
people
TV.
calling me, so they wanajaribu
Kenyans, please.
conversation.
The guy is
So
trying to have a conversation with us. Stop calling him so that
yeah,
all of us
maybe
can hear
so.
these stories. Yeah.
So yeah, nilijoin army and nikaserve army for 10 years.
So that's from
So
2007 to
later
2017.
is when I said, let me see if, yeah, up to 2017. I resigned and said, let me do something else different. So no, from there I started the journey to like applying for a visa to come to the US, and fortunately I got it with ile try ya kwanza, and boom, I took a flight not knowing where I'm going to. Nasema wacha tu niende nikajaribu, and here I am now 4 years back.
4 years there from a military background. And I like this story because apparently I'm the only one who comes from a military family but never went to the military, even though I wanted to serve my country. Because my dad and my grandpa and everybody have actually served in the military, and I really wanted to work in the military, but I was told I was my feet were not best. By the way, tutaongelea siku ya hiyo mambo ya kazi another day. Yeah, I was told my feet are not the best. I don't know, siwezi kanyaga kwa gambut, but that's a story for another day. So, Hesbon, you've talked about of the French military, but if you are allowed to discuss this, how did you find yourself in the French military from Kenya? I mean, how did it happen? Did you apply? Was it a cadetship or what? How exactly did you end up in the French military, being a Kenyan?
Okay, it's an interesting story. I really got the information online that the French military have that branch that they call the Fallen Legion, which they recruit guys from foreign countries. So the point was you have to pay for your own visa and your own air ticket. So mi nikakuwa na save do. You know, for you to get a good visa you must have what you call financial support. So nikasave do, ikafika ile kiasi wanataka pale, ikakuwa pesa iko kwa bank, and then I went paid for my ticket, and then went and applied for the visa pale French embassy. So the French embassy gave me 2 weeks for their visa, and the recruitment process takes 2 weeks. So unapata, when I went straight into the recruitment center, and they started the process. Tulikuwa pale Paris. From Paris we went to Marseille. Marseille is the main processing center. So ile siku visa in expire, because now I was holding on to that. Ile siku visa in expire, boom, nikakuwa nimechukuliwa, because the process takes a long time. 2 weeks, mwende physical, mwende psychological test, mwende medical test. Hizo test zote wanakufanyia, wana make sure uko fit kuweza kuserve kwa military. So ile siku visa in expire, visa 2 weeks, nikakuwa nimepata job, na hivyo ndo niliingia pale nikaanza job.
Okay, wewe inakaa mambo yako ilikuwa mzuri sana. Kuna can you hear me?
Yeah.
You had an easy start, I would say that. On the other hand, Haron, wewe visa yako ilikuwa ya kazi ama what type of visa did you use to get to the US?
Mine.
Yes.
Oh, mine was not a job, a work visa. Nili apply work visa, like nili apply work authorization nikiwa hapa. But nikikuja it was not a a work visa, it was just a visit visa. Then later unajua ukifika hapa unasema oh okay, unaambiwa you get people wanakuambia no, job unaweza fanya job, so you say kumbe naweza fanya job, so si lazima nirudi job home, okay, kaboom, because a lot of people here wana jobs in need hands on, like you have to, like if it is like driving, they need a person to help him maybe park or unload the truck out from Bono. So that's what I started with.
Yeah.
And I sailed through like that, and nikatamani kusema oh maybe one day me I'll drive a truck and not be a helper anymore. And that's what I did. I did a driving test, because you have to do a driving test once you come to the US. Hata kama umeendesha gari gani, you have to come here and go to a school usome driving test, and they give you a driving license, because for one, Kenya wana drive here on the left side, huku watu wana drive on the right side.
Yeah.
So you have to change that mentality from this side to this side.
Yeah.
So you have to go to school uoneshe the roads how they are na nini, so that you can be able to drive. And that's what I did. And right now I'm driving all over. So
Great. I will bring you back in, but let me also re-engage Hesbon here and ask this. Hesbon, wewe ulifanikiwa kupata your visa ukafika in the French territory, and lucky enough you went to the military. I think you were hardened too early. For some of us it was somehow culture shock. At the same time kulikuwa na weather challenges. Did you face any challenge coming in because you expected this type of weather? Ulikuwa unaisikilia tu kwa news, lakini vile uliingia, what during what period of the season did you arrive? Was it winter, was it spring, or was it autumn, or whatever, summer? And how was your experience?
Boss, haikuwa rahisi. It is never easy. Kitu ya kwanza, mimi nilifika wakati wa baridi. Unaona, kufika wakati wa baridi, you're not even prepared. You don't even know about the cold clothing season, because hujai travel, you don't know how people. So sikuwa na nguo zote za baridi, number one. Number two, I'm coming from from Kenya into a French territory. I have never learned French. Unaona, so what I had done, nilikuwa nimefanya zile online courses za French. So lucky enough, I could understand what they're saying, but I could not express myself. Unaona, a good experience ni wakati nilifika tu airport hivi, I need to take a taxi to my final destination, and sijui language nyingine isipokuwa French, unaona, isipokuwa English, unaona. So nikasimama hapo, jamaa wanakuja, taxi anachukua watu wengine anaenda. So me I'm still like bado naangalia nimezuba. Nikakutana na West Africa mmoja, lucky enough that guy could speak English. So I gave him the papers of the direction where I'm going. Akani drop hapo pap. Kufika pale, everything is in French. I could understand what they're saying, what they're saying, but I could not respond. So I think I was lucky, because that was expected coming from being a multicultural kind of environment for that military section. So we were taken through that aspect of language. But boss, nilipigwa na baridi. Sikuwa nimebeba nguo za baridi. Nilipigwa na baridi.
Wewe ulitoka huko ukifikiria unaenda Mombasa.
Yeah, baridi na niliweza. Another thing, I was lucky, nilienda straight into the military. So I took that time to assimilate into their culture. And then the interesting part, unapata wakati mwingia kwa jeshi pale ni straight into training. So nilikuwa na 4 months of training. So after these 4 months is when I came out. And coming out, you already formed bonds now wenzako. So at least kulikuwa na watu ambao wanaweza kucover up. So I was in between. Unaona? So I would say I was somehow lucky, but on the other end, there's that culture shock. Language barrier was a big one. Number two, coming from Africa into Europe, people look at you as a not well formed. So kuna vitu zingine unapata, they find it funny. For example, taking a dessert, taking appetizers, and then taking the main course. You see, in Africa we are not used to that. So mimi nifika pale wameserve food, so unapata mimi naanza na hiyo ice cream, because okay, it's sugar, una kitu kuna ile sugar cream, wanasema boss, angalia huyu anakula kama sijui nani. So I took time to learn that you have to start with the appetizer, and then you go to the main food, and then you go to the dessert. Unaona? So hizo cultural shock zinakujanga, ziko, they are there, but you have to
keep quiet. I cannot control myself from laughing. let me find out if I will bring you back. Let me find out if Haron had the same thing when it comes to food, and having to choose between starting with the dessert or actually you are eating the main course before. Haron, your integration process, especially when it comes to meals. And there's a comment there from Maureen Claire, who says some of the challenges of living abroad are different weather patterns, which is very true, different cuisines or cuisines, depending on how your French is. That's a French borrowed word. Culture shock, racism, and having to learn a lot of stuff. That's very true. Some of us are used to the African mentality whereby hakuna matata, you are never in a hurry. Hakuna matata. And then you are here where the world is fast lane. Everybody is waking up and going here and there, helter skelter. And then there is the good thing, if you happen to be in the adventurous, then you will enjoy every bit of it. Thank you, Maureen, for your comment. We come to the rest of the comment later on, but wewe ulianza na dessert or did you start with the main course, Harun?
The good thing mi nilikam okay. The good thing mi nilikuja nikaenda kwa a friend of mine, a friend of ours, a family friend from home. So I didn't have any shock about food because alikuwa anapika chakula za Kiafrika. So like everything African, so zinawekwa kwa fridge, you just go warm your food, you can eat anytime unataka. So mi sikupata any challenges as such as people get, like in terms of food. Even in terms of driving, mi sikupata any challenge because I had driven back home for very many years. So nilikuwa hapa change tu akili from this side to this side. But in terms of food, I didn't get that challenge because nilipana na watu wa Afrika wengi wale wanakwambia you can go buy food na ukuje upike, like ugali, whatever, in Seattle all those things zinapatikana, ugali, everything, the kienyeji things, stuff zote kwa store. So it's not that difficult for me. It was not that difficult for me that time when I came.
You are among one of the luckiest men on earth because you pray to Mary, Mother of God, and Jesus himself came with a wooden bicycle, because some of us didn't have that opportunity. I arrived here during winter. The first time I came to Belgium or Europe was in 2011, and I set feet, and the following day it was snowing. Bro, for lack of a better word, nitatumia hiyo lugha kwa lugha fiche. Kila kitu ilikauka. Literally, hivi. Kila kitu ilikauka. Everything froze. And by everything, I mean exactly that. So that was the biggest challenge I had. And then there was the issue of language. I come to a country that they speak 3 different languages, and depending on the region you are in, they speak Dutch, they speak French, and they speak Germany. Mimi Mluya kutoka Kakamega, I have never had anything beyond my maternal language, which is Luya, and then there is English. Of course, I was lucky enough to go to school, if not through school, and then there was Swahili. And then I'm here, somebody telling me, Goedemorgen meneer, what can you, and all those kind of things. And for me, it was like somebody speaking to Greek to me. And to date, I'm still struggling to learn the language because it's not my basic language. And understanding that the level of life in terms of languages tend to be adapted more at a certain age. Na ukishapita hiyo miaka inakuwa struggle, if not strangle. So leave alone the language side. Let's talk something that we're talking about, which is now you have landed and you have been reading very good books about Europe. You see very nice metros, pictures, and you see, it's literally the land of milk and honey. Unfortunately, you guys inakaa mlikula blue band, because literally you had a good life landing and things were working. But again, what was the expectation when you arrived in terms of making money? Let me start with you, Hesbon.
Vile tu umesema, maybe we landed on blue band, but on the bottom line is it's not that blue band. People expect that you will be plucking money on twists, like money pesa iko tu kwa barabara, utakuna unakusanya, so you have a lot of money. Boss, hata ile ume earn, you spend all of it trying to solve problems at home, and you remain without, and you still have to go because bado kuna mahitaji yako, because everybody anajua kwa ngambo, and kuna zile expectations za ngambo. So your mom, your dad, your brothers, the whole extended family, relatives, friends, they look upon you and they expect you to have that solution, like instant solution to their problem, and the instant solution is always money. So you will be finding calls zinakuja, people are calling you, people are trying to explain their problem, expecting you to come up with a solution in terms of money. But if you tell them you don't have money, they really don't understand. Anakuambia na si uko ng'ambo, kwani uko ng'ambo ufanyi job, si uko job. So they expect you to have that instant solution in terms of money, but it's not always that. So unapata, so at the end of the day unapata somebody's trying to like duck off, like anajaribu ku avoid the extended family or the friends, or you just like go underground for the sake of your own sanity, because you cannot solve everybody's problem with the little that you're earning. And then looking at the life, maisha ngambo boss is not the same as maisha ya Nairobi. And then you are there in a foreign country, so you have to establish yourself.
Oh, okay, fine. As you try to establish yourself, let me ask you, Harun. Harun, wewe ulifika huko ukapata license yako ukaanza kuendesha trailer. How long did it take you to make $100? And if you did make your first $100, what was the feeling of achievement, especially when you know you are a foreigner in a foreign land?
Umeenda mute.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to take
Abu,
that
ask
question
that
again?
question one more.
Okay. I'm going to rephrase it very easily. You were lucky enough to arrive and then things worked out and you were able to get your first job as a trucker. So once you got your job, what did you do with your first $100 bill? And what was the feeling of achievement knowing that you're a foreigner in a foreign land?
Once I first arrived here, as in once I first nilipata ile do yangu ya kwanza $100.
Yes.
Okay. I'm understanding that question in 2 dimensions.
Great.
I'm not getting you clearly what you're trying to ask. Like,
when you got your first paycheck, having lived in the US for the first time, you got your first paycheck. What did you do knowing that you're a foreigner in a foreign land? Na kuna watu nyumbani wana expect.
First of all, skule nilipata my first paycheck. First of all, kwanza nilikuwa na madeni hapa. You know, I was like working behind schedule.
Yeah.
Because for one, you're staying with a person, now he needs you like you have to pay these bills together, like electricity, the house bill, and everything. Okay, the first experience nilienda kufanya na mtu job, he never paid me. Like I worked for him almost 3 weeks. I was expecting a check from him, he never gave me nothing. So I opted to kwenda tena kutafuta job ingine.
Yeah.
You know, before I left where I am right now, like comfortable, struggle. I also did nursing. The nursing jobs, mnasikianga wase wanakuja wanafanya nursing. I also did that. So when I first received a good paycheck, I had to pay bills that zilikuwa young. So I was like running behind the schedule.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me. So hata watu home unakuta unawambia na sijapata do na sijui I'm still struggling, anakosa kuelewa kabisa, because uko huko and you're working, how don't you have this and this. So at times people expect much from you. Ukifika hapa the first week wanataka kuona at least you've sent something good, but to you here, when what you're trying to face, you're facing very hard time, because kuna watu wataki kukuelewa. That's all you get, wanataka bado mshare hapa. It's kind of very difficult for some people. Like for me, I faced it. Nearly faced. It was very bad for me. But after some time, unaenda hivyo just until now, you start seeing the fruits.
Thank you, Harun, for your experience. And let me bring this military man who, unajua, once you join the military, you have a good check. Let me find out what he did with his money, the first paycheck, and kulimwende aje. Husband, what did you do with your first paycheck?
I'm a lawyer, and I was okay. Can you hear me? Heli, can
Go
you hear
ahead,
me?
Hesbon. We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead, please. It's your time. I've just muted so that you can.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. I was saying, I was born and raised Aluya, and of that growing up, kuna kitu niliambiwa nikiwa mdogo. Nikaambiwa ukianza kufanya kazi wewe kama Mluya, mshahara wako ya kwanza haufai kukula. Unaona, hiyo mshahara ya kwanza inafaa ugawe kwa watu, so that it brings back blessings to you. Ni kama ile tunasemanga fungu la 10. So me, my first earning, I never did anything for it. I gave out, nilidistribute kwa family, friends, nini. I distributed to the level mpaka nikajisahau, na hapo ndo shida ilianzia sasa, because now umeanza on a negative end. Unaona, so wakati unaanza on a negative end, boss, kuweza catch up ni ngumu. So unapata wenzako, people are saving, but wewe you are trying to catch up, and then kuna ile life you want to beat life, because kuna zile vitu lazima ufanye kama wenzako, na kuna zile vitu pia ufanye nyumbani kuonekana uko ng'ambo. Unaona, so it's training. If you don't do a proper calculation of that sum, boss, you won't make it.
Calculation comes into play, the amount of salary comes into play, and then there's the family politics of what you have to do once you get your first paycheck. Now remember, uko majuu. Let me bring this into perspective. When you are abroad, you have a good paycheck. I think on average, especially to countries that have made their pay wage almost standardized, you'll earn approximately from let's say 1,200 Kenyan shillings, 15 or 2,000 Kenyan shillings per hour. And unknown to many, that is how they calculate their salary. They calculate it per hour. So every single hour that you miss out at work, it's actually not paid. So wewe uko hapo hujafanya kazi, and then nyumbani wanangojea pesa. The question that I'm trying to put across is, Hesbon, how do you manage the expectations of a family and friends when it comes to matter finances, especially if you are abroad? How were you able to manage this? I'll start with you and then bring Haron into it, because you're supposed to be picking and plucking money in the streets of Europe or the US.
Eli, sio rahisi. If you don't have a proper plan with your finances, you won't make it. Kitu ya kwanza, lazima ukae chini upige budget. One, you have to start with yourself, because kitu ya kwanza, it's you earning the money. So you have to take care of yourself first before any other person. And then once umemaliza wewe, you've taken care of all the bills that you need to survive to the next month, then you come back to your parents. And then Waluya tu ni jamii kubwa, so you have to help out. Unapata kuna school fees your brothers, kuna school fees ya nini, and then mother pia lazima kunywa maziwa, father pia lazima akuna ile life yake yenye amezoea, like standard life, like they want to be proud of their son who is abroad. So unapata everything stops and all the focus is on you. So if you don't do your budget correctly, first you take care of your bills, because at the end of the day, it's you earning that money. So if you don't take care of yourself, to be able to be sure that you will be sustain yourself to the next month, and then you come to your parents, and then you come to your brothers, and then if there is any extra, unafanya nini? Unaweza distribute kwa friends, but at the end of the day unapata you lose most friends, because everybody, kila mtu akiona uko pale ngambo, sisi tuliingia ngambo wakati wa Facebook, so everybody looks at you, and ukianza kupost picture, they think.
Sorry, I've muted you for one good reason. You are talking as a financial advisor. I want you to talk like an African coming from Kenya, living in abroad with a family and friends that expect money and supplies from them. Retake that one.
Eli, you just have to do that. You have to start with the bills, umalizane na bills, ndio uangalie familia. Kama itabidi kukosana na familia, wache ukosane na familia, but your bills are taken care of, no matter how small it is. Utapata sometimes you have even to ignore some issues. Unapigiwa simu unaona yenyewe hapa hii ni story ya pesa tu, you ignore that phone, because at the end of the day you cannot satisfy everybody. Sio the fact that uko ng'ambo uko na pesa, all your pockets are full. No, you also have your responsibilities ambao lazima take care of. So vile nimesema tu, I don't know whether I'm coming out as a financial advisor. Mimi ni Mluya kutoka Kwisero. Pale Kwisero jamii yetu ni kubwa, ndugu, dada, everybody. So once they hear that fact that uko ng'ambo, everybody wants your contact and everybody will present their problem. Yeah. So if you are to listen to every single problem, then boss, you will forget yourself. So the bottom line is, me, I made it simple. I take care of myself, my parents, brothers, and then any other evil. But at the end of the day, lazima ujue ukirudi nyumbani, pia people will expect ukuwe umefanya maendeleo. Not. So if you are not careful, it's very difficult. So I'm talking to my fellow Luya countrymen. Kukua ng'ambo si ati uko na pesa, umeenda kutafuta pesa. The opportunities might be there, yes, but you have to work hard to earn that money. Unaona, ng'ambo hakuna mtu atakupatia pesa ya free. In fact, there's nothing for free abroad. Nothing totally. Even to use the roads, you pay, unlike Kenya. Unaona. So you have to be very, very careful with how you spend every single cent. Ellie?
Okay, I've listened to you, Mr. Advisor, on how I'm supposed to settle and spend my money. But let me ask Harun, wewe umekuwa US miaka 4. When everybody sees you, especially, and this is a big assumption, correct me when I'm wrong, and I accept also your view on the same. But I have a feeling, because I have messages here of there's a viewer who says, imagine the first month I was here, they started asking me for the dollar. The first month. Wewe ulikuwa na bahati, ulitoka military kidogo kidogo ukaangukia, you went to the US and then things started working out. But then again, how do you manage your family and friends' expectations back at home as a diaspora?
For one, kitu iko ni watu wengi wanataka kuonekana wako sawa sana. First of all, ukianza kupiga picha, updating your pictures, people see that you have a good life, so the demands goes high. So the thing is, tunatakana tukue too real at first, because tell somebody, hey, hii week sijafanya job, hii week this month is not good, kumekuwa na hiccups hapa na pale, so don't expect too much from me. But watu wengi sana ni hiyo nakwambia, they really fake. Like, okay, si ati kufake, picha wana update, mapicha wanaonekana wako poa, so demand home itakuwa too high, because watu wanaona, oh man, this guy is kicking, this guy is living large, so they'll expect more from you. But now the good thing about diaspora again is doya hapa wagani iko poa, like 100 here is almost 10,000 huko. So ukiweza kujikakamua vizuri and work hard sana, like very many people come and do, you get enough, and even you get extra you can give your friend or your you know, like your buddies. But again, in as much as you're giving out, usifai kujisahau. First of all, start with you. You should give yourself thanks, because wewe ndo unatafuta. And then the second people you should really appreciate, or maybe waone the fruits of you being there, is your family. Because once everything goes haywire, home or east or west, home is the best. So hao wengine mabeti manini, utakuta ukirudi home hakuna mtu anakuembrace. So it's good to keep your family well, pata what you get, keep them well, hata wa feel hiyo wewe kwa majuu, and don't also forget yourself. And the thing is, work hard, ndupate hata ukipatiana uko tu poa, you know.
I get you, and let me take you also on another the same line, because it's really more about the financial aspect that I'm speaking about. Let's and I will excuse Hesbon on this one because he was working for government and they get some so-called special treatments. But that is story for another day. Harun,
Yeah.
what is your normal working schedule in a day and through the week? How many hours do you do in a day to have finished your shift? And what time does your day start?
Me, I can say I'm on call 24 hours, 365 days. I'm always on call because I don't go back home. I'm always on the road. So my day starts anytime. Naweza pata job at usiku saa sita. There are some companies that they manufacture things, so they send you go to that company, pick that load, take it like 11 hours to another state or 17 hours or So but generally state company driving, you should only drive for 11 hours a day. You should not exceed that. Then ukimaliza your 11 hours, you should rest for 10 hours. Then again and back on driving. So my schedule, mi sinanga free. Like right now I'm free, but the next hour utakuta nimeingia job. It all depends. Job ikipatikana naenda, I take that load from point A to B, and that's how I make my money. And when I'm free, like right now, like kama sama singekuwa na nyinyi, maybe I could be maybe just chilling out, Facebooking or talking to my family back at home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Sinanga
this
time ya
and this is
kufanya.
7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yeah, I'm always on the move.
Always on the move. For what?
For cash, because man, ikifika ni end month, those everything that knocks on the door should be paid.
Should be
Either
paid.
bills, either whatever, either school fees, either nini. If you don't go out, hizi vitu mtapatana nazo kwa mlango tashtuka. You have nobody to talk to.
Okay, great. Somebody told me once, and it was a military guy, and he told me, why do the military people get paid? And I asked myself, I said, a lot of people say they don't get paid for anything, but now in Kenya, at least we see what our money is doing because they are busy fighting in Somalia. But somebody told me the military is like an insurance. It's like a fire insurance. When you give them that salary, you will need it one day. So let me find out what Esbon has to say. Go ahead, Esbon.
Hey, Ellie, boss, go to do your research well. The hardest job in the world, number one, is the military. The hardest job. People say that kazi military ni rahisi. I'll give you my life, kitu ya kwanza. You are on call 24/7, number one. Number two, you have the military establishment and the country to protect. You must protect your home first before you protect the whole country. Okay? That is one. Number two, you have to be physically, mentally, and like you have to be well trained to be able to perform the job. So the military, they spend half of their life training in preparation for a war. Okay? So boss, kama wewe ushaiamka kila siku Monday to Sunday, asubuhi kwenda kukimbia for 10 kilometers, niambie sahi. Tell me. Because you have to be physically fit. I see people who are unfit because them it's not an obligation. But for the military, it's an obligation. Number one, you have to train. Number two, you have to take care of the equipment. So your equipment must be ready. So lazima maintain hizo equipment ziko sawa. So you spend almost half of your day taking care of the equipment, and you have to acquire knowledge. So you have to be trained. And both training ya military si ya kitabu, half ni kitabu, but ile ingine ni kuifanya. Kama ni kwenda kupigana vita, muna simulate vita. You go into that meli, munaenda munaangusha hiyo meli in simulation, and you act as if it's a real war in preparation. So ukisema ati kazi ya military hakuna the word they're being paid for. Number one, Vilume, I agree with you. It's a security. Yes, they're getting ready for a war. Number two, they have to be ready for that war by training themselves. So you are training. Number three, there's the actual war itself. Both, I was in the military for 5 years. I'll give an example. 1 year, you are preparing for the next mission, and okay, 4 months preparing, 2 months break, 6 months mission. Unaona? So utapata mmenda kuna missions zingine, okay, according to the European law, you are not supposed to be out for a year. So at least that was the covering aspect. So we could go for 6 months or even less. But hatukuweza to make 1 year out. That's the only security you have. Because if you're out for more than 1 year, then you're supposed to be, it's like you've earned your money outside the country. So you're supposed to get like tax refund or something. It's more or less a tax thing. So both military is the hardest job in terms of the preparation itself and then the actual job itself. Military, they have all the professions that the civilian world have. Military have pilots like the civilian world. Military have doctors like the civilian world. Military have cooks like the civilian world. At the same time, these people have to know the act of war, kutumia bunduki. So these guys are doing 2 jobs at the same time. So I would disagree with mtu akisema ati being in the military, you're being paid for free. No, it is the hardest job and you're performing 2 jobs. If mechanic, you are a mechanic at the same time, you are what? You are a soldier. If you are a doctor, you are a doctor at the same time, you are what? You are a soldier. So it's in fact the hardest job.
Okay.
Apart from that, let's get back to the point.
Sorry, you were just concluding on something there.
Yeah, I wanted to bring back to the current topic we have. The bottom line is we are talking of money. I would like to be frank. At the best point of entry, I was earning 1,200 euros. Boss, can you divide that one with 24 hours a day? 24 hours a day times what? Times 30 days, because you don't have a break. How much will you be earning per hour? And look at the effort that you have to put in, the training that you have to put in. You have to be trained for the combat and for your specialty. If you're a mechanic, you have to be a good mechanic and you have to be a good combatant. If you're a pilot, you have to be a good pilot and you have to be a good combatant. So you're putting in more. And then if this money comes back, you see, people look at the uniform and they say that, oh, this guy is earning a lot of money. But so they expect you to be like, hiyo pesa unatuma nyumbani, wana expecting. I'll give you my real life experience. Coming from a Luya house, a Luya background, I had a family and brothers to take care of. And unfortunately, or not fortunately, I am the firstborn. So inamaanisha huko nyuma tuko na vijana kama 3 4 ambao pia bado wako shuleni. My dad was a civil servant and by some issues pia ikapata job. So unapata you are the sole breadwinner. Okay? So being the sole breadwinner, take that amount and then divide school fees for 3 of your brothers, take care of your parent, and then take care of yourself. And you can do that one because shule sio kitu mtu atamaliza siku moja. And thinking about the current education system, because you want to give the best, you have to support your brothers, even if they didn't get good grades, to tertiary education like universities and colleges. And that is not a cheap thing. Okay? So if you do pesa yote uweke pale, you are left with nothing. I'll give you a real life experience. There's a day niliona, simefika hii tarehe 26, 27, hii mshahara itaingia kesho. And then we had some issues at home, so nikachukua all the money that I had nikatuma nyumbani in expectation that hii pesa itaingia within 2 or 3 days. Boss, do haikuingia. Sasa hiyo weekend imekupata sijui uko wapi. You don't even have money to rent somewhere to sleep because your expectations have been cut down. I will call this poor planning, yes, but because you had to sort out home in expectation of something else, but that didn't happen. So being abroad is a challenge because the whole community, the whole society at home expects that you have money, and they expect at the flip of a coin, you will send them money. People go to the extreme of denying themselves, not saving, omitting development projects in the aspect of trying to put their family in the right place. And it is not always a smooth journey as people look at it. It is not a smooth journey. People say that maybe you look at it, I was lucky, yes, but look at the burden that comes with that. Ingekuwa mtu mwingine angesema, mi siko job, and people will understand, but you are working, so where is your money? We need that money. We have problems back at home. You are working for the government, unalipa pesa mingi. But if you look at the baseline, it's not that much. Because 120 Kenya shillings. Ukifanya school fees 50k imebaki ngapi? And then you take care of your mom, dad, and a few brothers, shopping, nini. You're left with around 20,000. 20,000, can you survive on 20,000 in a foreign country? It is a challenge. Sio rahisi. And then unasikia auntie anakupigia simu, oh, boss, can you sort out on this? Can you sort out on this? And then tell them you don't have money. They don't understand.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Great. I like the fact that you say that. And you know, my personal story is that as I told you, I came here in 2011, and for some time I was in between trying to establish myself and try to get to know what I can do. So time passed by, and I noticed that anything I ever wanted to do in my field of professionalism was nothing close to what I was actually expecting. Because one, the language was a problem. Two, you have to go through a whole process of changing your documentations for them to be adapted. And if you do that, or you're lucky to have that, then you have to retrain in their own language. So I was busy looking for a job in the communication, the communication field and journalism and all that. And there was always a regret notice. Yes, we regret to inform you that, those kind of papers you get until you get to a point and you say, you know what, whatever work comes, I will do. But the beautiful thing I appreciate about Europe, or abroad for that matter, there is no job or work that it's worse than the other. All jobs, they're actually important and they have equal opportunities. So let me get back to Aaron, who is back, and find out, Aaron, have you ever gone home since you moved? And if you have, do people also still expect you to come with bags of money when you arrive, despite the fact you've been sending them money throughout the year?
For me, I've never gone back home since I came here because it's only like 4 years. But I know once people receive you at the airport, they only see money. I know that is how people experience once they go back to their home country. But for me, sijairudi home, so I've not had that experience. But generally, even in Akuanga,
Yeah, and do you think you have a reason as to why you didn't go back home after 4 years? I mean, if you have family or anything, have you ever been? I mean, you don't miss your family, or you are obliged to stay because of the financial impact of your travels?
I'm just obliged to stay here because okay, for the travel issues, for if I may say, and then job kwanza, because nikisema niende like even for 3 months, who I don't have any other income from anywhere, ni hapa tu mali niko for now. So for now ni job kwanza, but I'm planning if all things go well, they might join me. So I would rather have them here than mali wako. So I'm working out on them coming here joining me.
And what does that actually put to you as a man, first of all, and also as a living being, that you have to be separated with your family because of job commitments? Does it bring stress levels? Does it in any way, put you in a mind of state that unajiuliza, why am I doing this in the first place? Do you ever come to those kind of discussions with yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Because man, sometimes you feel like giving up. Sometimes unasema, oh man, I'm a man. Mwanaume ni kung'eng'ana, so you just forget about all those zile vitu zinakaa kwa mind, unaamua acha ning'eng'ane, because one, ukisema urudi home again, they're still expecting you to provide or something, and you have to provide because uko na familia, uko na watoto wanaenda shule, you have to provide. So some other things you just have to assume them, unasema acha ning'eng'ane because I'm here for good, not for like siko hapa raha. At times even I don't feel it that I'm in the US because niko job like most of the time, like right now, as you've seen me go off air, nimepatiwa job. I take a load from Chicago to Alabama. From here to Alabama is from from north to south, almost some 15, 16 hours drive. And I have to do that because unaona kama sasa I have not rested, and again I have to drive the whole night. You know, it's strenuous, but you have to do it. You have to do what a man got to do. And you get something at the end of the day.
You gotta do what a man got to do. Husband, having heard what I'll meet you a bit. Having heard what Haruna said, and the fact that you stay so many years away from home and family just to be able to support that same family, and then there is this consistent demand of wanting more and more and more and appreciating less and less and less. Psychologically, what does that do to somebody, especially if you're abroad?
Basically kitu moja lazima tuelewe, to be abroad you are paid by the hour. So leaving your job to go home is like you're losing money. That is number one. And then number two, that strain of trying to maintain a consistent income is strenuous. We are human beings, we need rest. So you should be able to take breaks when needed. But if you look at that implication in terms of hours and money, you rather have the money going than taking breaks, because we normally say we are saving for another day. So we are making hay while the sun is shining, because sometimes we are not sure about tomorrow. So you try to keep the consistency of the income by keeping the job going, by keep going on to the job, because you take a break, you mwezi moja umefanya umeenda nyumbani, hakuna kitu umeingiza. I'll give an example. Sasa hii kwanza na corona, uende udungwe quarantine, utoke quarantine, you wait for your visa, whatever, it will take a lot of time. And at that moment unapata umerudi job, umetake a break. So people would rather not take that break and keep the income coming. Ellie?
I mean, I actually concur with everything that you guys are saying, because especially you've brought in the issue of Corona. I traveled home in December for 10 days or so, and then I was back, and then the laws changed because they are very strict, and then it was obliged to stay on quarantine, be it you're negative or positive. So I was put on quarantine for 10 days. Initially, it was 7 days, and it was if you test negative, you can resume. But be it I was testing negative or positive, I was obliged to stay on 10 days quarantine. And you have to add that I was away for 10 days. So the calendar of the working period means I'm away for 20 days, and those 20 days are not paid. But what you have to understand is the unpaid period does not mean that your bill stopped. So what am I trying to put across? I'm trying to say this: for those of you who expect a lot from your family or friends that are outside the country, you have to realize how lucky you are to be at home. And if things come to us, you can go home in the village and cut a majani and do that and have a meal. On the other hand, I don't know about you, Harun, but I can never say I'm too broke niende in the corner kiosk and ask for chai, maziwa na mkate, I'll pay the following day. It's either you buy or you don't. It's not in between. Hakuna ati mama mboga on the kiosk that will do a favor for you here and there. Or husband, do you have such? As we try to finish up, because we have 2 minutes before we can complete this. Do you have a mama mboga that sorts you out?
Abroad, there are no soft loans. There are no soft loans abroad. In fact, sometimes for even to qualify for credit, there's a lot of input you have to put in. So it's not like home at your own, nitaenda kwa best yangu nikopeshe do next month nitamsort. Hapa soft loans ni ngumu, because if you are ni colleague wako mnafanya job, you're earning almost the same. So the expectations zenye yako nazo is the same kama wewe. And then mama mboga boss, this does not exist, and mimi sijaisikia kama hiyo. It's either you pay cash, if it's for credit, then there are rules and regulations, the systems that are created to be able to access that credit. And for you to even be able to access that credit, it takes a lot of time, because you have to do what you call the credit. But I think Harun can tell us more about that, because the system is more elaborate.
Yeah, like in the States, okay, in the States kila kitu ni time. Like kama hata ni kurent keja, huwezi enda tu kurent keja. Wanataka kuona history ya mahali ulikuwa unakaa. Like even if it's like buying a car, you can pop in a car dealer and get a car, but the once wakati wanaanza kurun like your credit, watasema you don't have enough credit to be able to do this. It's all about time. Hakuna kitu inakuja instantly. As I told you before, Ellie, anything that is instant in America ni coffee peke yake. Ukiingia pale kwa store unaweza make coffee very instantly na ukunywe, but every other thing ni time na ni time consuming na ndio make to meet to get to see the other end. So it's crazy. Watu wote wale wako majuu na mtu wote ako majuu anafaa kupatiwa humble time na too much respect, because kuna vitu mob, natural calamities like right now where I am right now is kuna snow ingine is negative degree. Ukifikiria hivyo na ukifikiria mtu lako home analala poa, anakula poa, unasema hata afadhali yeye, lakini ukitry to angalia the other side unasema hell no, let me just be here in this cold because I'm getting something, you know.
Thank you, Haron, for that, and thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I appreciate you. Closing remarks from you, Hesbon. What do you want to say as a parting shot?
If I was to be given an option to work at home and abroad, I'd rather work home than be abroad. Most people say that abroad there's that extra income, but that extra income comes with the extra effort. So being a naturally human being, I would like to take a break and enjoy the little thing, because sometimes unaona jamaa wako pale weekend wameenjoy, wamepiga break, but you cannot take that break. So being abroad, you must be ready for the challenges for you to get that extra income. That extra income doesn't just come by the fact that you are abroad. You have to put in the effort. So jamaa kikuitisha do, mtu akwambia hana do na ako ng'ambo, si ati hana, ile majukumu ako nayo ni maradufu ya wewe ambao uko pale Kenya. Eli?
Hesbon, thank you so much for also coming to the show tonight. For those that are joining us right now, unfortunately, this show is scheduled to run for 1 hour every Sunday. And it's a show that we look at things from different angles. So better come on time. And if you missed a lot of what we've been discussing, go back on the replay option and rewatch it. You can find this on my private Facebook page. That is Likuyani Eli, or alternatively on the official The Arts in Heart YouTube channel, and we are streaming there live for the moment. So for those of you who know about Art in Heart is a show that we run every Friday, and in the coming future, starting in March, we'll be transferring all our shows and streams to the official page. So I will no longer be hosting this Art in Art shows, which are Friday, on my private page. We will be doing it on the official Facebook page, which is Likuyani Eli / The Arts in Heart. So join the page, follow, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel equally, which is The Arts in Heart official, and you are able to stream and find the relevant material for you. Every Tuesday, I have a show designed for men. So this week, we'll be talking about the boy child and the problems that come with crushing ego once the relationship comes to an end. And don't miss out on Wednesday because of our special edition for the ladies, because we'll be discussing masturbation in women with somebody called GK Kamau. So be there because it's going to be lit. Have a great evening. And thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. It has been real having with you, spending time with you and getting to know your experience. For those who missed out, this is how it went last week on the Tuesday when we started this program. And ciao, ciao. Take care and good night.
Okay. Mwanamke akikuchukia anakuweka hapa rohoni, na akikupenda pia anakuweka ndani kabisa. Unaona? Utampa mwanamke kila kitu, utamfanyia kila kitu, hata ukamjengea magorofa. Umpe nini? lakini mwisho wa siku mwanamke atafika mahali atakwambia, you know what, mimi sijawahi kupenda na sitakupenda, nampenda mtu fulani.
I have done everything possible to just get this guy to get the relationship working.
Am I the person supposed to be looking for you?
Mm-hmm.
You need to talk, you know.
Unampigia simu leo, hashiki simu, kesho hashiki simu, ama labda akishika mnaongea kidogo anakuambia, ngoja nifanye nini? Ni receive simu ya mtu mwingine, unaona?
Kama tu we've agreed on the projects I have and I have my own money. I have no problem yeye kuchip in whatever he has. Kama anataka, si ati I'm forcing him to do that.
Another thing that I'm trying to figure it out is the ego thing, where men and ego, if you ruin a man's ego, then you are not in that relationship. That's something I'm also learning. You have to protect a man's ego.
Ninachoomba nipende nilivyo, baby nipende mimi nilivyo. Zawadi ya fanaka hiyo kutoka kwa Mola, mafanikio toka kwa Mola. Baby, baby, baby.